Listo. Se le cayó.
Vamos a empezar por lo de siempre. ¿Me oigo? Ah, ya. Buenas de nuevo. A ver. Oh, yo no te escucho a ti.
Ahora, pues.
Ah, ya. Una duda. En un video anterior que vi, casualmente, hablabas de que estaba la conciencia con C y antes de la conciencia con C, el absoluto.
Sí.
De eso no lo... Por supuesto, no lo...
Es una
lo veo.
cuestión de es una cuestión de semántica. El absoluto tampoco se llama el absoluto. Es una palabra que se utiliza para referirse a algo que
Ajá.
está más allá de las palabras. ¿Ok? Entonces no se tranquen en los conceptos. Ahora bien, ahora eres consciente, ¿verdad? Eres consciente ahora, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Y en el sueño profundo eres consciente.
Y, a ver, ahora mismo no sabría decirte, pero bueno, cuando a lo que uno llama sueño profundo es que no ve el cuerpo, no ve nada, no, ni se acuerda, de hecho. Y por lo menos
Y, ta- y
yo no me acuerdo.
y tampoco sabes qué eres, no eres consciente de ser.
Ajá.
Exacto. Entonces, esa conciencia aparece en la vigilia y desaparece en el sueño profundo, ¿cierto?
Ajá.
Por ende, esa conciencia es relativa. ¿Mm?
Ahora, de esa conciencia que me estás hablando ahora, ¿es con S o con C?
Con C.
Es por-
Entonces, tiene que haber una conciencia absoluta, consciente de la presencia y de la ausencia de la conciencia relativa, ¿cierto?
Ajá.
Y
Y el que,
no eres
ajá.
tú el que está consciente, ¿m?, de tu ausencia y tu presencia.
A ver, estoy hablando conceptualmente. Conceptualmente hablando.
No, no,
El,
conceptualmente hablando, no, tu propia experiencia. Esa es la experiencia de todo el mundo todos los días cuando se
sí,
va a dormir si no tiene sueño.
por si me perdí.
¿Mm?
Me olvido de los conceptos. Estoy enredando con los
Sí,
conceptos.
sí. Pregunto de nuevo. ¿No eres tú quien sabe de la presencia y de la ausencia del yo soy?
Sí, sí, sí.
Entonces, ese yo soy tiene existencia relativa.
Ajá.
Ajá. Tú lo sabes, no te lo tiene que decir nadie.
No, no, la verdad no.
Entonces, tú debes ser, obviamente, esa conciencia absoluta, ¿ok? Consciente de la presencia y la ausencia de la conciencia relativa.
Ajá.
Entonces, tú eres los dos, y los dos son una y la misma cosa, pero es la conciencia relativa y la conciencia absoluta. O sea, que no hay nada que tú no seas.
Y de hecho no se puede decir entre, entre conocimiento y conocimiento de cada cosa, no se puede decir que uno es consciente ni lo, o lo que vea todo eso.
Se te cortó, vuélvelo a decir.
Ay, ¿me escucha?
Sí.
En el momento que hay conciencia, uno aparentemente es el cuerpo, pero cuando se va el cuerpo, porque hay pérdida de conciencia, ya sea porque, me viene una pregunta loca a la cabeza, y cuando uno se emborracha, por decirlo así, ¿qué?
Aún eres consciente.
A ver, eh, pregunto por qué,
Si estás borracho,
porque,
estás consciente que estás borracho.
pero y si, esto es en serio,
Yo, sí.
sí, pues me pasó, lo digo porque me pasó, no es que yo tome mucho, sino que me
No, no, no,
gusta tomar,
eso hay que dejarlo a un lado. Las cosas personales de cada quien son de cada quien. La idea de
bueno,
estas
ya,
transmisiones es ver si tú
algo,
entiendes que tú eres la conciencia relativa y la conciencia absoluta, y que las dos son una y la misma cosa.
me olvido de lo que te iba a preguntar, entonces, eso no hace falta.
No, 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 no. Pero es que yo estoy, mira, yo tengo años haciendo esto. Mientras yo estoy hablando, tú estás pensando en lo que vas a preguntar. Es decir que no estás escuchando. Si no estás escuchando, no puedes entender, porque primero se escucha y después se entiende lo que se escucha. Si no escuchas y no entiendes lo que se escucha, mucho menos lo vas a realizar. No estás cometiendo un error ni un pecado. Simplemente estoy tratando de
Me
hacer.
estás explicando simplemente.
Claro, claro, porque si tú te das cuenta,
Ah,
entonces ya cambia la cosa.
sí.
La mente del buscador, la mayoría de la gente que escucha estas cosas, está escuchando con la mente activa, es decir, está esperando algo de su pregunta.
Ajá,
Ah,
y es lo que me está pasando.
claro, si tú escuchas sin esperar nada, entonces la mente está pura. ¿Eh? Cuando la mente está pura y simplemente escucha, ¿verdad? Porque realmente quien escucha no es la mente, quien escucha es la conciencia, la que está atrapada en la identificación con el cuerpo es la conciencia relativa, el yo soy. Que de yo soy, ¿me entiendes? Cree que está limitado a un nombre y una forma en particular. Yo soy el cuerpo. La mente no piensa, la mente no piensa, la mente es pensamiento. El origen de los pensamientos es la conciencia, el origen de la conciencia es energía, luz pura, y el origen de esa energía, luz pura, es el absoluto. Pero el absoluto no sufre de ignorancia, ni de sabiduría. El absoluto, olvídate de eso. Él simplemente es y siempre es como es. No sabe absolutamente nada, porque no ve nada separado de sí. Todo eso de que sé, que no sé, que leo, que me lo quito, me lo pongo, me lo llevo y me lo traigo, eso pasa en la
Eh,
vigilia, por ende es parte de la ilusión y todo eso está contenido dentro de la conciencia.
Cuando no hay conciencia no pasa nada. Sí, cuando no hay conciencia,
Y ahora estás
hay
tratando de
conciencia,
adivinar, como estaba en el colegio, tenía el profesor por delante,
ahí vamos
entonces
a
estás tratando de explicarle al profesor para ver si pasa la
ver.
materia y te dejan ir para el recreo. Es decir, son tendencias mentales adquiridas.
Es decir, que es normal que esto ocurra, por
Sí,
decirlo así.
perfecto, yo no tengo ningún problema con que esto ocurra.
Lo que pasa es que yo no me doy cuenta.
Mi trabajo, por decirlo de alguna manera, es darte cuenta, sí, de esa tendencia que está operando ahorita. Yo quiero saber algo cuando lo que tienes que saber es nada. Te olvidas de todo y sabes quién eres.
Y todo lo que sepa parte de eso es invento de la mente, por así decirlo.
El puro invento de la ley, exactamente. Inclusive decir que hay una conciencia que se identifica con el cuerpo, que hay uno que se identifica como el otro es un error, porque implica darle realidad a la creencia de que habían dos antes que la idea de dos apareciera.
Por eso es que, por eso
Pero
es que
como el
tú
que
dices de
escucha
que
tiene la mente dividida y cree que es alguien, entonces hay que hablarle como alguien porque no queda otra.
usas, eh,
El que entiende que solo hay uno es la misma cosa, no surge la pregunta acerca de esfuerzo, práctica, indagación, sacrificio, austeridades, tantra, yantra, mantra y lo demás. Porque todo eso es puro concepto. Conceptos que se le dan a aquel que no entiende esta verdad simple, entonces hay que decirle, sí, mijo, siga practicando, sigue, sí, dele, sigue, ¿cómo no? Por lo menos la mente está puesta lo más que se pueda en aquello que simbólicamente representa a lo que el buscador es. El buscador es lo que está buscando. Entonces, en vez de buscar lo que eres, que ya lo eres, busca lo que crees que eres y te das cuenta que es una creencia. Pero todos, gran mayoría caen en la trampa de buscar a la mente, con la mente, como si fueran la mente. ¿Mm?
pero es imposible darse cuenta de uno mismo de eso solo, por decirlo así. Uno mismo se reda y se...
Por eso es que el 99,9% de las personas necesitan hablar con alguien que sepa lo que está hablando y que se dé cuenta de las trampas que están cayendo. Eso se llama orientación, guía, llámalo como tú quieras, da igual. Porque aquí no hay orientador ni guía, hay orientación y guía.
Ay,
Los pensamientos en el cerebro dan la impresión de que ahí hay un ente individual llamado mente, ego, persona, individuo, alma individual, jiva, llámalo como tú quieras. Es simplemente un conglomerado de pensamientos que comienzan con el pensamiento yo. Cuando se sabe qué es lo que es la mente, pues ya no pasa nada. Yo soy César, yo soy un individuo autónomo, independiente de todo y de la fuente. ¿Cuál fuente? No sé, no existe. Estoy aquí solo por mí mismo. Mm. El ego también se le llama arrogancia, ¿sí?
mira tú. Ay,
Y ni siquiera el arrogante, ¿sí? Tiene el libre albedrío de ser arrogante. ¿Sí?
es decir, que aún en algún momento, digo, me escucho todavía,
Ujú.
aún en algún momento, dándose cuenta de eso que tú dices, es normal que vuelva a haber, voy a llamarle confusión, pesar de,
Aunque tengas un atisbo, se queda otra vez en la ignorancia, así. Mano laya, mano nasa. Eso sí quiere decir ausencia temporal del ego. El ego regresa porque todavía tiene una cosita por ahí en que creer. Una pregunta, una duda, saber algo, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Olvidarse de algo, sanar algo, curar algo, trascender algo, perfeccionar algo, mejorar algo. ¿Eh? Es un pensamiento que tiene la intención de mejorar aquello que ya es perfecto. Entonces, hay que sumergir el ego en su fuente tantas veces sea necesario hasta que desaparezca. Hay pérdida temporal del ego y pérdida permanente del ego. Aun cuando el ego se pierda permanentemente, ¿ok? Uno sigue refiriéndose al cuerpo como yo, ¿sí? Pero ya se sabe que esa mente no tiene existencia. El aparente individuo se sabe que es aparente, valga la redundancia, que no tiene realidad para nada, ¿sí? Que es una aparición dentro de la conciencia, necesaria para la practicalidad de la vida diaria. ¿Sí? Eso se llama resurrección. ¿Sí? Cuando el ego regresa, se llama reencarnación. Cuando el ego regresa y se cree que es el ego, se llama reencarnación porque lo que reencarna son las ideas preconcebidas. ¿Sí? La memoria colectiva que parece que hubiera reencarnado, dividida, un pedacito de esa memoria colectiva pareciera que fuera individual. ¿Quién nació? Yo. Entonces, ¿quién nació? Una creencia. Después que nació, creció. ¿Cómo? Acumulando, acumulándole a la identidad original más formas de identificación. Yo soy el cuerpo, ¿verdad? Yo soy César. Y soy César Teruel, ¿sí? Identificación con más cuerpos que son los Teruel. ¿Eh? Y soy Teruel Machado, identificación más con más cuerpos todavía. ¿Eh? Pero tengo mi papá y mi mamá también tenían familia, entonces identificación con más cuerpos, ¿sí? Con el género que no existe. Soy un hombre. ¿Mm? Con un pedazo de tierra que pareciera que fuera dividida, ¿sí? Un país individual, independiente de los demás también, ¿sí? Soy venezolano. ¿Mm? Y voy estudiando y voy aprendiendo. ¿Mm? Y me voy identificando con ese conocimiento. Yo sé. ¿Eh? Y luego me gradué de abogado, ahora soy abogado. ¿Mm? Y soy cristiano. Y ahora soy espiritual. ¿Eh? Y así sucesivamente. Es decir, ¿quién es el que está creciendo? Una idea. ¿Mm? Porque se va haciendo grande, ¿verdad? Va creciendo, va madurando. ¿Mm? Va mejorando, va empeorando, va para adelante, va para atrás. ¿A dónde va? ¿Quién va para ningún lado? Si es es puramente. Yo toqué la puerta y toqué la puerta y le toqué la puerta y pregunté quién está ahí y todavía no he encontrado a nadie, aparte de un manojo de pensamientos que comienza con el pensamiento yo. ¿Quién muere entonces? Esa idea, con todas las demás ideas. Y lo que queda nada más es el conocimiento adquirido, ¿sí? Y de ese conocimiento a lo mejor te vas a dar cuenta que para tu vida diaria es completamente inútil. ¿Ok? Pues porque para mí los fenicios y la Mesopotamia y todo lo demás no me sirve para nada. A menos que me siente como un filósofo a hablar de todo lo que yo sé. Ah, para demostrar que tengo buena memoria. Que soy un académico. Que sé tanto que sé poca cacao. ¿Me sigues? Entonces, ¿qué
Sí,
es lo
sí,
que
sí.
muere? El
Escuchando.
yo. ¿Qué es lo que muere el yo? Él muere el yo con todo su condicionamiento conceptual. Esa mente ya es libre por completo de toda creencia, de toda índole cultural, espiritual, religiosa, política, económica, científica, tú nómbralo. La mente es libre, ¿sí? No la mente, ese pensamiento es libre, ¿sí? No
Bueno,
depende, no depende de ninguna autoridad externa que le diga qué es lo que tiene y qué es lo que no tiene que hacer. ¿Qué es lo que reencarna? Exactamente eso. Entonces agarra ese chiclecito, mastícalo,
está bien.
¿ok? Hasta que se quede sin sabor, es decir, lo asimiló y luego entonces ya el chiclecito no hace falta.
Espera.
Que se voy a expandir mi conciencia. Una conciencia que ni siquiera tiene el libre albedrío de ser.
También hay demasiados estímulos, ¿no? Sí, cosas y uno mismo, por así decirlo, ¿no? Que te, que te hacen pensar, por así decirlo.
Y a veces la mente, cuando todavía tiene ego, pues se entretiene con este conocimiento. Piensa en ello, habla de ello, a veces hasta hace retiros, cursos y da satsang mm, y es un maestro espiritual.
Eso es a lo que llamas ego espiritual.
Sí, es la arrogancia que surge de un conocimiento meramente libresco, que tal vez ni siquiera se haya entendido.
Está bien.
Hello,
Oh,
Cesar.
give me 1 second, see, sorry. Maxime, yes, I'm with you.
I'm glad to see you again.
Glad to see you too.
I hope you're fine. I have 2 questions today. First, I have an observation of a body that it's well. I paid attention for medical images like that, or MRI images, etc. So I asked myself, if I'm a body, why do I need these images, and why can't I observe everything without any devices or any external sources?
Have you not?
Then
Have you noticed that the question comes too late? That the fact that you can see things is prior to the question why I see things.
The question is, it's more about reasoning and about what is the body that I know.
Body is just 5 elements put together. That's all.
So
basically.
I understand that is the body is just an information, or like a display, maybe one of the most advanced display that I know as an engineer. But it's just a display, and it shows the only things that
I wouldn't go that far, because the shark has been here for a long time. So
so anyway, I started to asking what's the brain, and I understand that I see a brain not any different than any other organ. I just see some mechanical functions. Or
do you want to understand? Do you want to understand all that, or you want to know who you are?
I want to know who you are, but the question is rather longer than it's just a kind of observations. So I wanted to see if a brain controls the body, and I found nothing. But it's from this point of view, or from others.
The brain is the body.
Okay, the brain is the body, but
and,
I don't see how.
The body is not self-aware.
Anyway, I don't even see how does muscles work in this body. I see some mechanics or positions or anything.
The body works as a whole, and is subject to the will, so to speak, of a higher power.
I remember changes that are in me when I'm tired, when I'm forced to wake up, when I'm going to sleep, etc. And everything is, I call this changes in psychical function, or sorry for my science language, but
okay,
this how I understand things.
I understand you.
I started asking a question. If I don't see a brain and how it controls the body, but how do I see these things, that what I call a psychical function?
You as an individual cannot know it. And the higher power doesn't know how to do it. It doesn't even know that it's doing it because it's not separate from that power. So the absolute doesn't need to know how to do things. See, it just happens spontaneously.
Of course, I wish to know who I am, but anyway, until I discover or getting out from this illusion of personal me, I also cannot. I'm also very impressed how the illusion is made. But that's
the problem. Enchanted by the illusion, we forget one's reality. So as long as you are interested, right. As long as you're interested in the body and in the mind, so you will never become.
I'd say it's like saying a last goodbye to that, or to that illusion. But it's interesting from an
you can say goodbye to the illusion. You can say goodbye to the idea that the illusion is separate from the reality. The illusion will never go.
So anyway,
there is no Big Bang, there is no beginning or end for the world, because the world is energy. Matter is energy. It has no beginning, no end. Can be destroyed, see? Can be created. It can only get transformed. And its a manifestation is identical to its reality, which is eternal. So it is also eternal. So all these mental exercises, all this reasoning leads only to exhaustion. And even if you get to know the functioning of the universe, you still are ignorant of who you are. So what's the point to know everything and not knowing oneself?
It's a part of search who I am. So finding my psychical functions. How can I see that?
You haven't understand the meaning of the question, who am I? There is no answer to that question intellectually. The question, who am I, see, finishes the reality of the questioner itself.
That's right. Maybe.
How do you know you haven't tried?
It's
a matter of fact.
Maybe question what person is, because I expect asking what person is dissolves the person itself as any mental thing.
No, the person cannot dissolve itself. Impossible. The person is dissolved by its source.
So anyway, I see how it works. So finding the psychical functions and where and how do I know there? Where do I find there? I found them and I feel them. It's not like a part of my body anymore. It's just like an atmosphere where everything is put here. And I also found this funny observation that if I go for a walk for a foggy weather, I rather have a feeling that is fog is in my head. So for some reasons, to believe that psychical functions are part of my body, the brain made this illusion for me, and it made for me to understand, to feel something unreal in my.
But when you say me, what do you mean by me? That's what I'm trying to see.
Okay, in body, not me. In body here.
Then who are you?
Who observes and who tries to understand how that illusion happened and why.
Then why don't they enjoy the illusion, see, and stop trying to figure it out?
I don't know. It's a kind of a temporal enjoy, because
no, that's the way you work.
Like tricks or illusions from illusionists or performance. It's kind of.
This is your scientific background. You are conditioned by your scientific background. That's all.
That's true. It's nothing to
So you are conditioned to think and investigate in that way. And if you want to know your reality, I repeat myself, that way doesn't work. If you really inquire what the mind is, you will find that there is no mind. There is nothing but a conglomeration of thoughts that begins with the thought I or I am the body. Apart from thoughts, there is no mind.
Yes, but still there are some conceptual objects.
Well, the object doesn't say I am a conceptual object. Who is saying so? Who is conceptualizing the object? Okay, and who is appearing as a subject? When the subject appears, the object appears, but only in the mind. Both are in the mind and both are the mind itself. The subject and the object, as two separate entities, are the concepts of the mind, and it is the mind itself.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I see conceptual objects as the ability to focus on something.
That's fine. For the practicality of the matter, it is excellent. Then
So,
who is conscious of that? I'm not asking you the question, right? When I'm asking you the question is suggesting. And see who is conscious of the body and the mind.
sometimes it's mind.
The mind apparently is the mind.
The ego program, who is interested to know everything and understand how things are put together.
The ego is thought. See, it is consciousness that is still is identified itself with the body. Think is the body, and is trying to understand what is contained within it. It's a trap.
In this case, the consciousness is more identified with the mind itself. It's not interested in body.
No, it is identified with the body. It's consciousness who thinks, I am the body. The mind does not think. The mind is a thought. The source of the thought is consciousness. And the source of consciousness is that which is aware of consciousness. Consciousness appears as I am, self-awareness, right? Knowledge of existence, knowledge of being. What is the knowledge of being in deep sleep? What is this I am in deep sleep? Try to understand the questions. Answer from your own experience, not from any book, from any nothing. Now I am, and in deep sleep?
My own experience is that.
What is consciousness in deep sleep? What is self-awareness in deep sleep?
I don't know even if me in deep sleep.
I don't even know even this me in deep sleep. Right? Then who is this that is beyond all that, aware of the presence and the absence of me, the body, the world, and even consciousness, self-awareness?
So you say don't using that concepts or scientific things. And for me, it's interesting that I know about a deep sleep, not from observations, just from diagrams, books, and stories from other people.
Haven't you ever experienced deep sleep when there is no world, no body, no mind, not even consciousness?
And no memory about that.
No memory about that.
How do I know about that?
Because you are there as the very awareness of the presence of that and the absence of all that. When the I am appears, right? When self-awareness or consciousness appears, the body appears.
I remember awakening from...
When the body appears, identity with the body appears. You are a scientist, and I will give an explanation, okay? Energy in a potential latent state, chaotic. Any possibility is here. Any possibility. Okay? Now, a little bit of that possibility is now manifested as the word, right? They are not separate. It's the same energy. One is manifested and the other one stays in an unmanifested state. Okay? So that energy, so to speak, is responsible for the appearance of matter because this energy, its matter is moving in a very low speed that gives the impression that it has an objective reality. Yes or no? Are you with me until then?
Right.
So it is. Wait. No, I haven't finished yet. Give me a second. Okay, it may take me another 5-10 minutes. So energy is here in an unmanifested or non-manifested state. Any possibility is already here. Okay? A little bit of what we call universe, or universes if you wish, is an infinitesimal part of the totality of the infinite amount of possibilities. Right? So energy manifested and non-manifested are not separate. They're one and the same. Now, let's go to the human structure. The first organ that is created in the uterus of the mother is the physical heart. And from there, it grows the rest of the body. When that brain is ready, okay, until then, this body is not, there is no consciousness in that body. And then that very energy, okay, I only can explain you as my experience, is some sort of light, okay, which is a fluid and reaches the brain, okay, and in that moment there is consciousness. Then the ego is not there present yet. See, the identity with the body is not there, but the possibility out of all the possibilities that exist is there, the possibility of identification with the body. So every being appears to have separate, independent, autonomous existence, self-awareness. After the baby is born, which is without ego, apparently from outside, somebody begins to tell you, okay, you are Maxime. See, Maxime is the name for the body, right? If you want, when the talk finishes, look everywhere what is written Maxime in the body. It's not written anywhere. Then you are Maxime, right? And you begin to believe that you are the body. And you are Maxime, what is your surname? Ruptsov, right? Now, this is the surname, most surely, of your dad. And your dad has a family. Now there is identity with other bodies. And then your mom, identity with other bodies. And then identity with a piece of land. I am Russian, right? And then identity with the accumulated knowledge. I am a scientist, or I am a lawyer, or whatever it is. And then identity, I don't know, with a political party. I am capitalist, I am communist, or whatever it is. Right? And then identity with religion. I am Christian, I'm Muslim, I am whatever it is, right? And then I am spiritual. Can you see that? So this thought is the mind that arises out of identity of consciousness with the body. But beyond all that, beyond the energy manifested, non-manifested, which is the universe, the body is the universe, the mind and consciousness, for all that to exist, there must be a substratum that is aware of it. And that is nothing but your own self. Because you are aware of the body, you are aware of the mind, you are aware of consciousness. Perhaps you are aware of that beautiful, undifferentiated energy. So you must be prior to all that. Because it's you who is aware of it. That you are that absolute existence that is aware of the relative existence of that energy. It has relative existence because it appears and disappears. It appears in the waking state and disappears in deep sleep. For me to say so, I must be there aware of the presence and the absence of this relative consciousness. And you will never get to know what I'm talking about by the means of reasoning, thinking, analyzing, and so on. Maybe until a certain extent, so that the intellect may reach some point. But until then, so from then onwards, when there is intellectually even, it becomes obvious that is everything appears and disappears. I can only say so because I am aware of it. So I must be that. At least I can get that by the means of reasoning. But then your reasoning there comes to an end. Then you have to keep quiet, and you can know this firsthand. If your mind keeps quiet, then apparently you as the body are not thinking, but still you are thinking that you are the body, right? That belief still is there. But if you keep the mind quiet, even that thought will collapse. And all what I explained to you will be known by you again firsthand, without the need of the mind, the intellect, reasoning, and the rest of it.
When you're talking about quiet mind, it's, for me, is different level of that silence, different levels of silence. And I don't fully understand of which level you are talking about.
The mind is quiet means you are not thinking about anything. But the thought, I am the body, still is there. That's the root of all thoughts. If the mind is quiet, there is only I. There is no you, he, she, it. If this I is not entertaining itself with you, he, she, it, this I collapses. So the thought I collapses, and what remains is self-awareness, is the knowledge of being, is to know that I am without having to think that I am.
You mean if the mind is quiet and the thought I am still there, and this is only a reason why I am observing something from a personal point of view, right?
Correct.
And if I lose that mind, I'll maybe have some spiritual experience where someone observed something from other.
There is consciousness of the world, and there is nothing perceived as separate from the very consciousness of the world. When consciousness loses the ego, that which is aware of consciousness, which is absolute silence, reveals itself by itself to itself as one's own self, because we are both. We are this relative consciousness that appears and disappears, and that absolute awareness that never appears and disappears. Right? They are one and the same. They are not two. Meaning that in reality, all there is what you are. And if all there is what you are, then who is going to be curious of what? And what for?
So it's easy to understand that everything that I see is I am. It's very easy to understand with mind without direct observations.
Yes, you have a very sharp intellect.
But to find that the distinction between that local consciousness and global consciousness requires some practical observations.
No, practical observation will be there by the means of thought. Observation is already there. Consciousness is already there. You are conscious, and you are not making an effort to be conscious. even to be consciousness. It's just there, spontaneously. You are not making an effort to be conscious of the sound, right? You are not there directing the ear, listen to the sound. So
I'm not making any effort to make this object.
then don't make any effort. That's the whole point. All your efforts will be contradictory and counterproductive because it's going to be mental. So the mind is not going to be still.
But the mind constructs those objects or those conceptions based on the knowledge that I am. And that gives me that two levels of perception I explained in the previous.
But all these levels are mental. If you speak about levels,
that's right.
There is somebody seeing in levels. All this is thought. Where is all that in deep sleep? All what you say.
The only level 1, because I see a difference in that. Level 1 is how do I remember objects, and the brain first tries to show me of what I already know, and if I'm not agree with that, if I'm awaiting an object and I don't like what it shows me.
Yeah, well, how you like, for you to like and dislike, you must compare your memory with the fact. So you
no, I just dislike. First of all.
Yes, but the universe couldn't care less if you like it or dislike it, because it still is as it is. It's not going to change because you like it or dislike it.
What I see is changing, not the object itself. So as I explained,
the
past time.
This doesn't say to me, hello, Cesar, nice to meet you, and I'm an object, and I am solid, and I am cold, and I am round, I am blue. This doesn't say anything. This simply is. I conceptualize this. Without thought, you don't know what that is.
Maybe it's because you, after the transformation, and you see the things is just in just one representations. I see two representations.
In its only representation. Anything else is a conceptual interpretation of the reality as it is. And this couldn't care less if I like it or dislike it, if I accept it or reject it. It couldn't care less. It's just exactly the same thing.
Somewhere beyond the mind, yes, it's the same.
Beyond the mind, everything is one and the same. With the mind, then, see, I'll explain to you how this subject-object illusory relationship appears, right? Identity with the body gives the idea that the body is the subject, see? I am the subject, see? I am the subject. The subject appears, right? The subject is number one. And then I see you as an object, right? Now we have two, duality. The subject and the object is a mental construct because I am the subject is a thought. You are the object. It's the same thought. It's the same I thought, right? Now we have duality. Then I am here and you are there. See? The idea of separation, right? Matter is not separate. It's an indivisible mass of energy. Then duality, then separation, then differentiation. See? I am thin, you are like that. I am brownish, you are white. I am female, whatever. See, differentiation, right? I am different from the I and you. Then I am separate from you. I am different from you. I am independent from you. I don't depend upon you. You there, I do my life here, right? Then it gets worse. I am better than you, worse than you, etc., etc., etc. Are you following? All that collectively is the mind. The apparent relationship between a subject and an object as if they were separate from itself. If that I collapses, you, he, she, it. If the I collapses, duality collapses, differentiation collapses, independence collapses, and the value system, good, bad, good, and all that disappears. And everything is realized to be one indivisible mass of absolute existence.
But there is still division to objects.
No, for only when the ego disappears, it's just for the practicality of the matter. Because even by the means of a scientific instrument, you can see that matter is not separated. It's not even united by strings of energy. Neither separated nor united. It's an indivisible mass of energy. In a manifested state, inseparable from the same energy in a manifested latent potential state. There is no separation, there is no duality, there is no differentiation, there is no independence, and by all means, there is no good and evil. So, the likes and dislikes are part of this illusoriness of the subject and object reality, the subject and object relationship.
It's maybe an awkward language construction that I use from likes and dislikes. It's just an observation that I found that objects, the same objects, I can see them different sometimes. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
If you don't think this object is different from this object, then what is the differentiation?
No, I think that this object is different from this object.
You think, but it isn't.
No, I see. I see that. I don't wish to see that, but I see that.
What you see then is you don't see the object. You see what you think about it. So what you see is the mind and not the object. So you see the you see
I see not object. I see different informations about that.
Exactly.
That's right. That I understand.
Actually, you see what you know because you were told that this is a phone, that this is a speaker. You learned that somebody told you that this is blue, dark blue, and this is light blue. So you were told that. So you are conditioned to think in that way.
I see that this thing's different. Where is that? Oh, I see this is different because sometimes I that.
Cheers.
Wait, I see I see something that I already see, and sometimes I think I don't know what it is, and in this case,
good,
different.
Good. This is called apperception. See, perception without the perceiver. And the knowledge that it has about the perceived. In that vision, there is no perceiver and perceived. There is only perception, or in this case, a perception. Even though that's not the last thing. There is awareness of perception and a perception. So awareness doesn't know about perception, and doesn't know anything. Awareness simply is. And nobody can say anything about it because there is nothing that can possibly see that which is aware. And that which is aware cannot see itself. No need to. It reveals itself by itself to itself as it is. Means to know that awareness means to be it. There is no knower of that awareness. Can be.
And this is clear from technical functions, because you may now put something that is part inside it, the whole thing, and think the part to work as a whole thing. It's impossible. It's just to be and to use some references to that, and this is the only way.
If the ego disappears, right? That doesn't mean that the apparent separation, differentiation, and so on will go on because you will need it for the practicality of the matter. You will have to differentiate between vanilla chocolate, blue and red, and all, but for the practicality of the matter. Okay? But it is very clear that in reality it doesn't exist. See, for the sake of functioning sanely and intelligently, right? Otherwise, you will say, pass me that. What? That. That what? No way. People will think you are crazy. Then you will call an object chair. Okay, yes, but there are many chairs. Which one you want me to pass it? The blue one or the But you know that there is no chair that is not blue, see, and so on. It's just you need to say it because otherwise you will be either in a mental hospital or in jail. They will lock you in.
Prepared because for some reasons there are people who use different languages or aliases for that I don't even understand, but I also understand doing some and I have to help a person with some and I try to understand what does it mean when he says that.
That is empathy because there is somehow you are very intuitive also, and your sharp intellect. You're not trying to price your ego or anything, but your intellect is very sharp. There is a lot of intuition, out of that comes empathy, because you may feel that the other one is yourself, or at least you know it intellectually, right? And there is always that. If I have it, I'll give it. If I can help, I do it. And you must be intelligent enough also to say, I cannot help you because what you want, I don't have it. Nor I have the means to get it. So I'm sorry, I can't help you. I really apologize. You still may feel sorry for that person or empathy, so to say, right? But you say, I cannot give you because I can't. I hope you can find it elsewhere. Or you may say, maybe if you go elsewhere or with someone else, you may get that help. Why don't you try that? See?
Because it's more interesting to play games together than with my solo ego game. And
that's fine. That's what this is called pure mind, but pure mind is still is mind. That doesn't mean that it is negative, and that doesn't mean that it will not carry on operating when the ego disappears. But to know yourself, you have to transcend the mind completely.
It's hard to leave it.
You don't have to transcend it. You already that, see, which is beyond all.
I understand, because someone have to give a power to operate. Someone emerged from something.
No, you just need a little bit of advice, and that's all.
And I also your mind objects orient meaning from something, because
let's put it in this way. The conceptual mind, in terms of judgment, will disappear. For the conceptual mind, just to refer to objects, right, as this, that, and the other, for the practicality of daily life, remains. In the other hand, your thought process is free, will be free from any form of external authority, right? From culture, from religion, from politics, from spirituality, from science, right? This mind is free from any kind of belief.
That
it's an intelligent thought process which is completely practical and at the same time is completely unselfish, because it is very clear that there is nobody thinking that thought. Therefore, there will be nobody expecting anything out of it, neither from the physical activity or the mental activity. There is no ego sense in that thought process.
Well, that pure mind sometimes asking questions. Why does person is useful, and from this time I have no good answers why the person is. It seems like outdated concept, but it's still here.
You have to forget about them. When you forget about them, there is only I, and then you will forget about I. After that, none of these questions will arise.
You mean that there are some others who I'm caring about?
There are no others. The others are nothing but your own self.
In my mental construction, I mean.
No.
Because I still believe that they are others.
Well, yeah, correct. That becomes a fact. It doesn't become, you become aware that it is a fact, that there is nothing but yourself, that there are no others.
It's the hardest thing from my point of view, because those who I think others often came to force me to do something, or with some requirements or something that
I see, maybe even for
to react.
Even because that doesn't die, the instinct of survival. Maybe for the sake of the survival of this fantastic electrochemical computer, you may have to say, yes, sir, no, sir, even though you don't believe any of it. So the other people may think that it has an authority over you. And yet, even if you do what that person says, you still are free from that authority.
So you mean it's playing the games, but without identification with
identification, fantastic. It's like imagine a person that is playing Romeo in a performance, right? Then I am performing Romeo. If I want to be a good actor, I have to get lost in the role, right? But at the back of my head, I know I am not Romeo, that I'm playing a role. Wouldn't you laugh at that person if the performance finishes and it's still, oh, Juliet, oh, it finishes and it finishes. You go home, have a cup of tea, watch a movie or whatever it is. And watch Romeo and Juliet.
But the habit to identificate is rather strong. Still strong. But sometimes I pay an attention for that I identificate to some case, or I even involve.
You know that I know you know already that you identify yourself with it. As soon as you become aware that you are identifying yourself with it as the mind, you are not identifying yourself with the mind. And you may lose identity with the body, which is the mind. At least for a split second, you will know the so-called mindless state.
By the way, from your...
Then you will know what is beyond even the mindless state.
By the way, from your experience, how many times in average passes from the person start to pay attention that he is or she is identified to the ego collapse?
First, I haven't kept a record. and that varies from person to person. It can be a split second, it can be 30 years. So there is no answer to that question.
But the question from my ego.
That's all right. For example, in Ramana Maharshi's case, I don't know if you heard about him, the ego disappears once for all. And even he himself said, okay, that the ego may collapse temporarily and it may arise again. And you may have to merge it in its source as many times as it is necessary for it to disappear, right? So it all depends upon how deeply rooted are the concept, how much are you conditioned, right, by the society or the culture and so on. So there is no real point of reference.
I believe the scientific mind is a good start because the science is impersonal from my point of view. It requires no any personal you.
Well, see, yes and no. The only reason why the scientists want to find antimatter is because they want to control matter. It's like they want to, so there is a selfish behavior, right? Because it's like if I grab antimatter, then I will grab God from the beer and tell him to do whatever I want. This is a controlling mechanism, which is selfish. There's a self-interest in that, not for the sake of knowledge.
I believe we here have some political representation of scientists because not every scientist try to
I'm not saying that it is. I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying that it's not 100% true that all scientific thinking is free from the ego sense.
Not all, right? That's quite
absolutely.
right.
Still, there are good people.
But from my point of view, it's more about the interest to the world and how the world is, what it is. That drives me.
That remains, but it's completely impersonal. See? I may see a tree, for example, right? How do you think the shamans and the seers knows that these herbs are good for the liver, and this is good for the stomach, and this is good for the cancer? And so there must be somehow some interest in that object, but there is no thought process involved. So somehow these people have access, see, to the information that is that object, that tree, for example, right? As if the tree is telling, if you need me, I am here, right? Just don't plug me completely. Just plug me like this even, see, no more than X amount of leaf at the time, because I need time to grow the rest of the leaves, otherwise I will die, so you will have no tree that cure your cancer, for example, right? So it's a complete different, it's difficult to, I can speak about it, and I can elaborate for hours, but it will be just, you will just believe me. Like, better remove the ego and know everything by yourself, and you will not even need to talk to me or to anybody else, for that matter. I only can somehow give you some advice to lead, to get to that which is there. You are the possibility of you to be. You are already free from that. You just believe that you are not. Right? Just remove the ego sense, and everything will be just fine.
Sometimes I remember some stories about some phenomenal senses that people experience, then ego collapses, and so they describe things that are like a cool special effects and movies, and
yeah,
I think
if the mind is there is ego fascination. If the mind is not there, it still is fascinating, right? Because to be honest with you, the universe is fascinating. This is magnificent, because we don't know how magnificent it is, right? We are trapped because we are trapped in it. So you will see the magnificence of the universe, and you will realize that you are that which is aware of that magnificence, and that it is not neither separate nor united with you. It is your own self. So you will be fascinated basically by yourself. Right?
So I think that is something that is still invoking some ego processes for knowing or capture that, or I don't know that, but it seems like it's useless from the point of knowing me. So anyway,
What you have
thank
to
you for your
know,
answers.
what you have to know is, who is this me? And then you will find that there is no me at all.
I Some Romeo, as you said.
Son Romeo, that's all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Same for me. Have a
Okay.
nice time.
You too. Jorge Mario. Such a nice guy.
¿Qué tal, César? ¿Cómo estás?
De regular para arriba, eso debe ser bueno, ¿verdad?
Quería comentarte un poquito acerca de la práctica que llevo a diario, que viene siendo, cuando se está realizando cualquier acción, siempre tratar de que la observación no se vaya únicamente afuera, sino que mantenerla hacia adentro. Nunca olvidarme, por ejemplo, ahorita, si estoy hablando, mantener la atención de que al mismo tiempo estoy hablando, no solamente irme con lo que estoy diciendo, sino que también
Correcto.
centrarme en mí mismo.
Es mantener la atención en ese yo soy que es consciente del pensamiento, porque la palabra es pensamiento verbalizado. ¿Ok? O sea, vas a ser consciente de la actividad física tuya o del resto. ¿Ok? Vas a ser consciente de los pensamientos, pero también consciente de aquel que es consciente.
Exacto.
Correcto.
Como-
Perfecto. Con eso es
como-
más, con eso es suficiente. Eso se llama poner la atención en el yo soy. Le pongo atención a esto, le pongo atención a lo otro, llámese cuerpo-mente, ¿ok? Pero todavía no pierdo de vista a ese yo soy que es consciente del cuerpo y de la mente.
y automáticamente, o sea, la mente no aparece, y si aparece, pero es más fácil darse cuenta. O sea, se nota que aparece, desaparece, con mucha facilidad, porque estás centrado en ti mismo.
Claro,
Mientras estás hablando o haciendo cualquier cosa, te das cuenta con mucha más facilidad el pensamiento. Y otra
correcto.
cosa que quería comentarte es, en el
Ahora,
movimiento,
ten cuidado que no sea Jorge el que está viendo los pensamientos que aparecen y desaparecen, ¿ok? Porque Jorge también es un pensamiento.
sí,
O sea, que veas, que no estés observando los pensamientos como Jorge, sino que los estés observando como conciencia.
exacto, sí. Otra cosa que también me ha servido mucho es que una vez me di cuenta, como una especie de tipo, que ya te lo había comentado, que me daba cuenta que al caminar yo no estaba caminando, sino que era el mundo el que se movía. Y eso también lo aplico cuando estoy en movimiento. Cuando se supone que estoy caminando, siempre mantengo esa atención de que el cuerpo está nada más en un solo sitio, porque el ser pues no se mueve hacia ninguna parte. El ser está siempre en el mismo sitio, es permanente. Entonces,
Sí, pero eso todavía es conciencia, cuidado. Porque ¿dónde está el que ve a la mente y al cuerpo en el sueño profundo? En el sueño profundo no hay conciencia de cuerpo, no hay conciencia de mente y no hay conciencia de ser. ¿Me sigues?
sí.
Pero queda algo allí que ve a la presencia y la ausencia del cuerpo, de la mente y la conciencia. Y ese no puede ser otro que tú mismo.
O sea, el tratar de observar mi caminar, no como si yo lo estuviera caminando hacia adelante.
Te mantienes como un observador. Como un
Es que
testigo.
siento que cuando también la mente
Es como mantenerse como un testigo pasivo de las actividades del cuerpo y de la mente.
sí, esa es la sensación. Que de tanto que hay concentración en eso, llega un punto que definitivamente no, es como que no estoy haciendo nada y todo se está moviendo alrededor mío y así, y yo no tengo una sensación de estar haciendo algo, sino que está sucediendo todo solo. Hay un movimiento en algo que está estable. Y eso,
Correcto.
y eso soy yo, lo estable, lo que no se mueve.
No, ese que ve, esa conciencia desaparece en el sueño profundo. Ese yo soy es lo que yo soy como conciencia relativa. Ese yo soy, esa conciencia relativa está ausente en el sueño profundo. O sea, no tomes a la conciencia como realidad última. Porque si le pones atención a ti, si te pones atención a ti mismo, a ese yo soy también lo ves. Y en el sueño profundo no lo ves. Por ende, la realidad última es aquello que ve a la presencia y a la ausencia del yo soy que es consciente.
Solo es mantenerse en el yo soy.
Correcto. Si te mantienes en el yo soy ya no se identifica ni con el cuerpo ni con la mente. Y entonces se revela aquello que ve todo. Y se sabe que uno es eso. Se sabe que todo es eso. Que solo eso es.
Muy bien. Muchas gracias.
Ok, Rey, dame un segundo porque tengo que ver una cosa aquí. Ya.
A ver, ¿me oigo bien?
Sí.
Ah, mira, durante el día hay muchas distracciones y entonces uno nota como que igual que la atención se va más para las distracciones que para lo que ve las distracciones. No sé si me explico.
No. ¿Otra vez?
Como que no hay, como que no, como que la atención, no sé cómo decir, la atención va más a lo que está sucediendo, que hay que buscar esto, que hay que buscar lo otro, hay que ir a las cosas cotidianas. Entonces, imagínense, es mucho tiempo y realmente, por lo menos a mí me cuesta trabajo estar todo el tiempo no yéndome para allá, por decirlo así. ¿No? Que no se vaya la atención para allá durante
No
el día.
importa, cuando la atención se vaya para allá, la traes para acá. Eso es todo.
Y entonces a lo que voy. Ahora mismo, por ejemplo, ya antes de uno dormirse, por así decirlo, hay menos distracciones. De alguna manera ayudaría a darse cuenta de lo que tú explicas, eh, prestar atención a ese momento justo cuando que está llegando el sol. Y entonces con eso de alguna manera ayudaría a notar la diferencia entre antes y después,
Sí,
por así decirlo.
sí,
Ayudaría.
sí. Eso se llama el yo transicional. La transición de la ausencia del yo soy a la presencia del yo soy. Cuando el yo soy empieza a aparecer y todavía no hay identificación con el cuerpo.
Entonces, esa era la pregunta.
Mm.
Nada más. Gracias.
Lo puedes hacer, ah, por ejemplo, cuando vayas a dormir esta noche, ¿verdad?
Ajá, escucho, escucho.
Te acuestas como con una intención, te acuestas con la intención de que lo primero que vas a experimentar a lo que te despiertes, cuando te estés despertando, es el yo soy.
Es como preparándome para eso, por decirlo así.
Sí, eso te daría un punto de referencia, ¿ok? Para poder ponerle atención, o sea, para que te conozcas a ti como conciencia, porque tú eres el que está
Consciente.
allí, tú eres el que está allí en el sueño profundo, ¿ok? Viendo la ausencia del yo soy.
A veces confundo los términos cuando hablas de conciencia. ¿Me estás hablando del absoluto o de conciencia
Sí. Eh,
a ver, conciencia con C es lo mismo que
bueno,
absoluto? Porque
no, pero te
es
lo
que
acabo de explicar. Te acabo de decir que la conciencia con C es relativa y la conciencia con C, con S es absoluta. En la ausencia,
disculpa, me confundí de preguntar. La con S es lo mismo que el absoluto.
sí.
Estoy preguntando eso. Ya. Entonces, el concepto
Ok.
para mí parece que está bien.
Entonces,
Disculpa, me estabas explicando.
si la conciencia relativa es el yo soy, ¿ok? Y eso es lo que tú quieres experimentar antes de dormirte o al despertarte, ¿verdad?
¿Cómo?
Tú lo que quieres es experimentar al yo soy, a la conciencia relativa, tal cual y como es, o antes de dormir o al despertarte, ¿cierto? Para que sirva como punto de referencia.
Para diferenciar, para poder diferenciar entre un momento y otro, o entre un estado y otro. Creo que, digo yo que capaz,
Ahora,
digo yo,
hazte esta pregunta. Ya no eres la conciencia absoluta que está presente y en la ausencia y ausente, que está presente en la presencia y en la ausencia de la conciencia relativa. Porque quién sabe de la presencia y de la ausencia del yo soy.
yo, ¿Puedo hacer una última pregunta? Los ojos no no te escucho. Los ojos se hace algo que uno los cierra, los abra o
Da
no,
igual.
da igual. Ya.
Hubo un problema con el YouTube y no se han podido subir los videos del 22 y del 24, los del miércoles, mañana y noche, perdón, los del domingo, mañana y noche, y de esta mañana. Entonces trato de subirlos mañana por la mañana, ¿ok? En caso de que no los vean por ahí. Y queda grabado en este, si alguien quiere. Oh, Marco.
No, César, una preguntita técnica.
Mm.
Hoy cuando estaba hablando esta persona norteamericana, es que hay una transcripción en directo, estaba desactivada. Porque
Es
yo
que
creo que si puede, no
no,
podemos.
no, eso no,
Ah,
eso lo hemos hecho un par de veces y aparentemente ni siquiera es solicitada por un participante. Entonces aparece la solicitud y de repente te aparece un chat aquí con subtítulos y te aparece un montón de gente chateando acerca del tema, no el tema y me sigue.
tú sabes,
Ahora,
yo,
ahora, lo que puede haber ya es un programa debe haber algo en el settings donde se pueda poner subtítulos en idiomas, pero ya sería cuestión de ver si lo pueden hacer ustedes como participantes o si tendría que hacerlo yo como, ¿cómo se llamaría? Como host, como
sí,
anfitrión. ¿Ok? Ya me hicieron la pregunta, déjame anotarlo por aquí antes que se me olvide. ¿Ok?
Porque te cuento, hace días atrás,
Porque ya me han
yo,
pedido, sobre todo la gente que habla inglés,
claro,
como no hay muchas preguntas, claro, pero el inglés siempre se habla porque cuando hablan en ruso, la persona que acaba de hacer la pregunta es ruso, pero habla bien
sí,
inglés, sí. Entonces, una persona de Australia me escribió hoy, por cierto, preguntándome si había una aplicación dentro del programa Zoom, y le digo, no sé, tendría que averiguar, yo soy medio dinosaurio con la tecnología, entonces no sé si alguien podría, mientras escuche la transmisión, ir al setting y ver si es posible que la persona que está escuchando esto, ok, que no entienda el español, lo pueda poner a traducir con subtítulos por su cuenta en otro idioma. Y podría yo mañana preguntarle a Nastia, ok, cuando estemos trabajando, o cuando se pueda, a ver si nosotros podemos poner esa opción. Porque hay gente que habla inglés que le gustaría entender más lo que se habla aquí.
te cuento, la semana pasada yo activé ahí eso y me decía, ¿en qué idioma estoy yo, un ejemplo? Y yo puse como si fuera inglés. Y estaban hablando en español y me tradujo al inglés. Yo quedé loco y dije, si funciona esa vaina. O sea, me
Mientras
estaba
estaba
traduciendo,
mientras
mientras que
viendo,
estaban hablando, estaban hablando en español. Yo puse como
yo,
si mi idioma fuera inglés.
en
Sí,
esta
yo estaba hablando,
transmisión,
sí, en la transmisión en español, a esta hora de la noche, a
ya
las 8 de la noche,
te ponía subtítulos en inglés.
en inglés. Yo puse que mi idioma original era inglés y que estaba escuchando en español. Y ¡prum! Me tradujo. Yo, mira, sí funciona. Entonces hay que verlo cuando hablen en inglés, pero ese día
Entonces,
nadie habló en inglés.
entonces sería cuestión de que hagamos una prueba, un Zoom privado entre tú y yo, y me digas cómo se hace para entonces ponerlo en el Facebook con el que pregunte, entiende, paso 1, paso 2, paso 3, y se hace.
Dale, sí, seguro. O el mañana al comenzar, podemos hacer eso antes que pongas a grabar, un momentico.
Vamos a ver si tengo tiempo, porque yo hoy, por ejemplo, estaba tan y decía, Dios mío, ojalá que me dé tiempo de llegar temprano, porque estaba en el centro, una cuestión que salió a última hora, y salí corriendo para acá porque
Bueno, sí,
vamos a
sí.
ponerlo aquí, vamos a ver ok,
Dale, papá, seguro. Dale. Bueno, bueno.
translation, ok. Listo, entonces nos vemos mañana, ok.